Cloud. Been having internet problems that I can't seem to debug, so worst comes to worst. Okay, I am now going to share the screen. Okay, welcome everyone to the January 12th MicroProfile steering committee call. It is, oh, can I have someone post a link to the meeting minutes in the chat, please? I should have done that. And click on that link. And if you are a steering committee member, please, well, actually, I'll do a roll call. If you're a community member, feel free to add your name to the community section.
Hey, John,
and this meeting,
do we need the instructions at the top say don't edit the meeting agenda?
Yeah, except for, yeah, in fact, I'm going to be talking about that a little bit.
Right.
Document editing is enabled for community to add themselves to a list of community contributors, I should say, during call. So there we go. And then this meeting is being recorded as well as the chat. So this will be uploaded to the YouTube channel. All right. I'm going to do a roll call. Actually, I think first, I'm going to kind of bring up a point is that folks have been editing the agenda doc, and I heavily prefer that folks don't do that because, you know, I'm trying to bring a little bit more formality to the steering committee calls. Obviously, with a live hangout, everyone edits the doc, right, all the time in the agenda with things they're interested in. Here, the agenda is more fixed, especially after we send out the meeting agenda to the to the working group alias. That's a fixed agenda, which can be modified during the call, right? So I just wanted to bring that up. So please do.
John, sorry to
please
interject.
do not edit. Please do not edit the document. Now that's my statement, and if I'm overreaching on that, definitely feel free to give me feedback on that.
So John, but we need to clarify that it's not about adjusting the steering committee members. That was what was adjusted today. I don't think anyone adjusted the minutes, the actual minutes. Of the
it's both.
Oh, both.
It's been both.
Okay.
So, so I just wanted to bring that up. Even then, with the steering committee members, right? So, for example, now our quorum and supermajority have to be updated, right? Because someone updated the membership, right? I just want to bring a sense of formality to this call versus the live hangouts. That's all, right? So, and again, if you think I'm overstepping here, let me know. All right. So we do have now 9, votes for any official business that needs to be conducted. So that, and someone help me out with my math. I believe the quorum is 5 and the supermajority is 6. Good math?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. See, that's my math minor paying off right there. Okay.
you can do math below 10 digits.
All right, so let's do let's see, attendance here. So Atlanta Jug, Summers, or Vincent. Can I hear axe? Just verbal axe.
Sorry, my computer just blinked. I'm here, Summers. Hey, Jug.
All right. Vincent. All right. I heard Kevin and I heard Emily, and let's see, Gelastic. Tatiana, I saw.
Yes.
Ruslan?
Nope.
Okay. This is a new entry as of this morning. I think I saw the announcement, and welcome Garden State Jug.
Thank you.
Is it Chandra? Is that
Chandra, yeah, that is me, Chandra.
Hey, Chandra and Mike.
Yep. Hey, John.
All right, so I'm gonna bold these. Let's do.
Wait a minute, John. Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, Mike, did you come in as iPhone 3?
Probably, yes.
Yeah. So we have to be kind of careful with that because I didn't allow you in at first because I thought that maybe it was someone trying to crash our meeting.
Yeah, I remember I was there for that last one.
Okay.
I don't blame you. So, yeah, I got to fix that. I wonder if I can change that somehow.
Yeah, you can change it now that you're in, so that's good. But
Okay.
and I don't know who admitted you on this one, but I think we have to be careful on allowing people in if we don't recognize the name.
Right,
That
absolutely.
was probably me. And I figured it was him because I saw some of the chats come up saying he was having problems. So, but good point. Very good point.
Yeah,
Kevin.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I
thanks.
can-
Dimitri.
Here.
Was he?
All right. Rudy. I know Rudy's here.
Yes, present.
All right. Roberto and I are both here. I saw them come up. David and Emily or Amelia. I saw come up. That was
What's
actually not
going
an
on
accident
today?
that time.
What's going on
And
today with my name?
Edwin. All right. Eclipse Foundation, Paul. We got Sharon. Actually, everybody is on the call. So we have a quorum and we have supermajority. Okay, so what I've done with the agenda for this call is I basically kept the items that we had in the last call, marked them as completed based on what's happened since the last call, and I've also added items that were official items that happened between these quarterly calls and mark them as well. Right, so this is just an idea, right? Just trying to. So if people look at meeting minutes only, steering committee meeting minutes only, they can see an actual progression and that we had items that needed to be done and that they were completed. Okay. All right, so basically we had the ballot initiation, MicroProfile 4.0 ballot initiation. We did the dry run with a release candidate. In between calls, we had the CN4J Alliance. So I added that as something that was conducted. And then we had parking lot items, and I marked those as well. Although here, I think I have to say completed. Okay. So I believe those are all the things that we kind of had on our list from last call and that official business that occurred as well in between. Any comments on that? Okay. All right. Working group charter revision. So Sharon, you want to go ahead and take over?
Hi, John. Thanks.
Yep.
So on our last community call, I had asked for this agenda item to be added for the steering committee call that was coming up today. And just to reiterate for those who may not have been on that call, what this is concerning is the fact that the Eclipse Foundation is doing a restructuring, a pivot to Europe. And as part of that, we have had to revise some of our governance documents as a result, and that would be the bylaws, membership agreements, so on and so forth. So in order for the working group charters to align accordingly with the governance docs that actually apply to your charter as well, the charter requires some revisions. I had hoped that I would have been able to get that package out to the steering committee so that potentially we could have ratified the changes today. Unfortunately, we're running behind. And so what we are going to do is we had, our goal was to have all the ratifications of all working groups across generally to be completed by the end of Jan, but because we're running behind, we will move that out. And I believe it's mid-February that we will now want that work to be done. So I am very hopeful that there will be an email, a communication going to the MicroProfile working group mailing list within the next 2 or 3 days. So we just have to, John, if you want to, you can just say this is deferred and will be rescheduled to an upcoming steering committee meeting, hopefully sooner rather than later. For those that aren't scheduling steering committee meetings on a regular basis, we are asking for one to be scheduled in order to take care of this official business of the working group. So to be decided.
I have a question on this, and thank you so much for the updates on the delay. Couldn't we send a virtual email approving this once we can tackle this in the regular community calls, like we do things, and then the votes, I would recommend that we do it over the email.
So now, yep, yep, we can, this is really quick. So now that we've actually introduced it officially as an agenda item and that it's been, it's on the agenda, it's as a topic, I do believe we can conduct an electronic vote to ratify the changes that we will provide to the working group, yes.
Okay, so I recommend strongly that we do that and that you use the MicroProfile working group to deliver that document so that with the community, we can have the discussion. And then when ready, do provide us a tentative deadline so that we know the extent of how much time we need to revise it.
The deadlines or the tentative deadlines and the timing will be in the communication. The only thing I would caution here is if there are a lot of questions, and those questions would be much easier to respond to in a even if it's a quick steering committee call, that may end up being the right vehicle, just because sometimes if there's a lot of emails going back and forth, it can be really tricky to make sure that we're answering everybody's questions and that everybody's really comfortable with what they're seeing in the revision. So again, let's play it by ear, but yeah, if there's no questions, absolutely. That's certainly a great way to handle it. Thanks for bringing that up, Amelia.
No, and Sharon, we need to protect your time as you protect our time. So
Thank
I
you.
agree with the feedback, always.
And we can always have those types of questions on our regular Tuesday call. It's just we wouldn't be able to vote on those calls. We would still have to vote on list, but we could have Q&A over a...
Yeah, we could, but I want to reiterate, we want to make sure that if there are questions related to it, that we are able to have someone on the call. So Paul and I don't always be able to attend the Tuesday call. So we just want to make sure that when it is going to be discussed, that we have someone who can attend and be able to answer any questions. That's all. So just some timing to work out. Yep.
Very reasonable. So, I understand that you guys are coming up with an exhaustive list of what the changes. But do you have any known items that you can talk about now, just so we can maybe clear out some of those questions early?
The package, I don't know if you want to really go into that right now, David. The whole communication will mean more when it's sent in a package to the list. So you're going to get the slide deck. You're going to get the red lines. You can see then what the new charter looks like with these revisions accepted. I don't know how much time. I think we really want to get to the program plan today, because this is going to be really easy to see once I send out the email. So, is it more important to get through some of the program plan today, or are we still doing okay for time? It's 2:16.
I was just curious if you had any sort of highlights or general nature of it.
It's really about aligning with the governance. So we've made some changes where, instead of calling out all of the documents that are applicable, you go to the governance page and you see all the documents there. Changing the membership agreement level so that it all matches, because if you recall, membership level changed from solutions to contributing. So just kind of making those kinds of changes to make sure that there's no disagreement between any of our governance documents.
All right.
Yeah. We can certainly, I'm happy to bring up the slide deck if we have time left over after we go through the program plan and any other official business. I'm certainly happy to bring it up and go through it.
Sounds fair.
Okay.
Yeah, and we could also set some agenda time aside during the live hangout and discuss it there as an FYI.
Right. We would have to make sure to give them a heads up. That's what Sharon's feedback was, is that they don't always attend. So we would just need to make sure that they know they're on the agenda.
Yep.
And
Okay.
Sharon knows to tell us, you guys are doing too much work. Let's do better together. Sharon, I just normalizing the situation.
That feedback is always welcome too.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on to the program plan. So we have to create a program plan that identifies what our goals are going to be for calendar year 2021. During the live hangout, we discussed leveraging the approach that was taken by the Jakarta community around using a community voice document, right, to do kind of community planning. So briefly yesterday, Edwin and I, because Edwin had an AI from the call as from a prior call to kind of do some of the baseline work for this. So he and I hopped on the call, realizing we have to get this, ready for today's call. So what we basically did is used the Jakarta community voices as a template. Basically, kind of documented that this was discussed in the live hangout, and I'd like to have the results of this kind of show up in a nice slide deck at some point. The community, the program plan feedback deadline is basically February 9th, which is a live hangout day. And then we just started to insert a bunch of questions, right? Some of these are things that, oops, I meant to add links to these, darn it, I apologize. So maybe I'll do that while folks are conversing. But we added a list of some questions that can impact the program plan. Like something that we've been putting off while we were forming our working group is the whole growing pains thing, right? We have a bunch of specs. And we have a platform spec. Are the right specs in the platform, right? Do we need to have, different groupings? Is this something that we should talk about during this calendar year? Another one is Jakarta EE alignment via CN4J.
John?
Yeah.
Did you want to discuss any of these individually, or did you want to get through all of them first?
I just wanted to summarize them.
Okay.
Because sometimes there's dependencies, and that's one of the, right, where one question is kind of influenced by the output of another question, right?
Sure.
So I just wanted to do a quick summary.
Okay.
How many platform releases do we want to target this calendar year? Again, some of these things can be influenced by prior questions. How much uniformity should there be between specifications? Not something that's necessarily a question, but one of the things I think we need to do is clean up our processes, right? We have the MicroProfile wiki, and now that we're a working group, we should go and just make sure that our wiki is up to date with what our current processes are, right? This is something that, how can we improve community involvement? Let's see, how to best enable community to track. This is something I brought up last week where someone was asking, I have no idea how to track what's going on in MicroProfile, right? I think this should be a goal of this calendar year, is to make sure we have something in place where whether you're involved in the community or not, you can track what the status is, right? What the plans are and what the status is. And last, what should MicroProfile marketing target be in 2021? Right, these are just questions. There might be more questions. I just laid out some, or Edwin and I laid out some things that we thought were discussion points. So I guess with that, I am going to pause and let folks chit chat about these things while I go and add links that I forgot to add.
One thing that initially pops to mind is platform branding and compatibility program.
What
I
question?
had that in here somewhere. Oh, there's more, but wait,
Yep.
there's more.
Okay.
I'm so sorry, I forgot. Let's see. Right, new specifications. Sorry, I just thought just for the sake of it, I would get them out there. And then Emily. So what new specifications should there be? Let's see. Do you think MicroProfile should come up with a new test framework? Which specifications are mature enough and don't need to invest more effort on? Let's see. Sorry, that's Emily. Under CN4J, should we establish a way that Jakarta EE depends on MicroProfile specs without moving specs over? And then last, what shall we do with the standalone specifications? And that gets to the earlier growing pains question, right? So that is a good point, Paul.
I have a concern because this is the first time I see this. Clearly, thanks so much for putting it together after last Tuesday. So much has happened last week. My concern is the CN4J conversations needs to be kept under the community forums. Clearly, there is, it's very difficult to separate it too. But I am concerned when I see MicroProfile working group think that we can choose on deciding the life and the independence of the project itself. Every single time, and I will come through these questions with Calm after the call and through the next few weeks, every single time that I see anything that is added, that is a question, it makes it think to me that we don't fully understand why we worked so hard in 2020 to keep the independence. We agreed to have the CN4J to start the conversations so that we can clarify the statement that MicroProfile will continue to be independent and not a Jakarta project, right? So seeing it here makes me unhappy and afraid that we're going to have a really bad 2021. Because if I have known that this is what we are going to focus on, I would have pushed for having that mailing list created in October 2021 and instead of December, right? So am I alone on this?
Well, I think we can indeed say that MicroProfile will be independent. In what way, that is still maybe to see how Jakarta can use it. But saying that 2021 will be only focused on that is probably a bit too harsh.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree as well. I mean, I think it's okay to have the discussion point and, having that as part of our platform plan. I mean, what are we doing going forward? And I think it's fine to have that discussion, but to assume that it's going to consume us for the next year, I don't know. I
am warning, and I hope I am wrong. I am warning all of us, and this is recorded. Yeah. So let's pay attention to this moment. And this is being said and stated. And I love it because this is what MicroProfile does. When we think something will happen, we immediately share it with everyone because one brain is not enough in open source. We together are stronger when we say, this is my fear, and I'm very direct on my fear of this. Right.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, so I was the one that actually added this. We absolutely have to have the discussion around Jakarta EE alignment.
Yes.
Right. And right now the venue for that is CN4J. So that is why I added that question the way I did.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think that doesn't hurt to talk about it. This is the end users are very interested in this aspect. It's good to send some message to them. Another thing is that I think in 2021, we really need to invest more about our APIs. What kind of new things we can come up with? Like last year, we spent so much time on the working group. We didn't spend a fair amount on the inventions and etc. New things. I think in 2021, we need to spend more time to see it come up with more killer features and new ideas and etc. So just make MicroProfile growing for the end users.
A general question. It's good to have these opinions, of course, now. Are we going to vent them all now or just add them to the document after we have had the call, or are we going to spend the time on that? Open question.
Well, I think we should, this is the document that we want to put out so everyone can give their feedback. Are there too many questions? Right?
I believe so.
You just added the question.
Yeah. So some of these questions, I don't know that necessarily the community cares about, or that. So scroll, the certification and branding requirements. I don't really know that we need to ask 2,000 people about that question. It's sort of just, we just need to do it. Not really you know what I mean? It's not really an open question.
You mean the compatibility trademark? Yeah, we have to do it.
Yeah, well, so Paul added it, but I was thinking he was adding an agenda item, not necessarily a question that we're going to ask the community.
Yeah, it's totally cool. However you want to handle it. I just wanted to make sure it was, part of what would be contemplated, included in the program plan.
Yeah. I think there's some things that are just, that's a requirement. It's not, we can ask people's opinion on the requirement, but we're still going to have to do it regardless if they say it's dumb or not.
No, that's absolutely correct.
Yeah, we already created a Git issues for that, and we will include the community on choosing the logos, but that is a requirement and it doesn't need to be up for discussion. So we can add a comment in there saying not needed, a requirement, move on.
Yeah, indeed, few things need to be in the plan no matter what, like that compatibility and that wiki probably also already. But we need to record it so that we make sure that it's part of the plan that we're going to put in place.
Yeah. Rudy, and you're correct. I want to echo Emily about innovation. I think that is a priority for MicroProfile in 2021. We had a hard time in 2020 with the release, and now it's our turn to go back and innovate, break changes, and do all those things that we couldn't do last year. So this will be my number one request, and we need to sell it because number 1, 2, 3 needs to go this way. So all of us, who is going to send this document to the forum, to the community forum, by the way? Edwin, will you do that? You are the committee rep. Can you own that?
Does someone post this document to the chat? I've been clicking on the links, I haven't found it.
No, it was the link was there in the agenda. So in a sense, it was hidden, and not intentionally by design, but I thought we wanted to get the questions out first. Some questions defined as a starting point that were the right questions before.
I was just trying to read them because you're only showing you can only show so many at a time, and the questions are on 2 pages.
So let me post this to the chat. I apologize. I should have done that.
Question 8.
While this is going on, I do have a question to add. Are we doing something in terms of learning or teaching MicroProfile, making it easy for people who have not used MicroProfile before? Is that something we can add to the 2020?
Yeah, Chandra, let's add that.
I'm willing to volunteer some of my time to do that, either a blog or some code katas. So
go for it. Seriously, this is like the ideas. That is how the ideas flow. We do have people doing workshops globally. Adam Beam, people in Brazil, South Java, and people in Eastern Europe doing like very accessible workshops, but they do them on their own. We have not supported them before. And I believe that with the budget that we have now, we can include those champions that are already educating our users and our community by distributing the knowledge to send them t-shirts and logos and these things so that their students get thanked properly as well. And that is
so what I propose is a central repository to hold all these rather than them being currently in the distributed fashion. If we could sort of aggregate them into a single repo of some sort where people can come in and contribute their own trainings, that would help a lot. I mean, there may be misconceptions from some of those workshop conductors, which we could then address in the central repo as well. We train the trainers, and that's something I would like to take forward.
Yeah, usually the feedback is always given private, and I will say, you mean X, but it would be amazing to have this the knowledge transfer in the repo. Chandra, this is amazing. We're doing it in a JCP, Java and Education, bringing the lessons learned from that to here, I think would be magnificent for the ecosystem itself.
So can we maybe boil these questions, try to consolidate them down to like, something definitely between 5 to 10 questions, 10 being really probably too many for most people to actually answer. And make sure that they're actually questions. So like question number 2 is not a question. So
we can filter the actions already out and put them elsewhere, and then have proper questions.
Right.
Well, this is a required bullet, I think, as a part of the program plan.
Well, hold on. So Emily has also a CN4J related question, and maybe we can boil those down to something more specific, like from a MicroProfile perspective, what opportunities or things do you think we should pursue under a CN4J alliance with Jakarta EE?
Last one.
Something like that, you know?
Yeah, so it's a more
Agreed.
concrete.
I mean, we could also group questions together based upon what they are.
Oh, I'll try to.
So you could move my question together with the growing pains. Basically, what are we going to do with all the specs? That's an often question coming up during the conferences. I think that's number one question to ask.
What do you mean conferences, Emily?
So I mean, why when to talk about MicroProfile, people often ask, when are you going to put the standalone releases specs into the platform release? So this is the kind of what are we going to do with these standalone releases?
It seems you're talking about adaptability, right?
No, I'm talking about the question one, growing pains.
Oh, growing pains. Oh my gosh. Okay, we need to add the link. I think growing, oh my God, you added the link. You know what I think? I think we have 25 minutes to go. And I think we can go through a few things and organize this. Someone has to send it to the forum. And I believe that we should take more time and carefully review this and say no more than 10, adjust it. And I think, Edwin, you are the most equipped to send this out because you are the committer rep. It falls onto you to lead, to facilitate. What do you think about this?
Yeah, sure. When it's done, I will send out the email. That's no problem.
Perfect. What else do we have to talk today on the agenda? Do we continue talking about this or do we move to the next topic?
No, I thought we were going to try and narrow this down to 10 questions.
Yeah, let's do it right now. So,
okay.
Emily, I have your permission to take the CN4J one to sort of move it into the extras section, right?
That will be excellent because
Emily, a question towards Emily. I know we can. That's why John can't remember your name. You keep answering all of Emily's questions.
Sorry, apologies. Totally apologies.
Are you guys married?
To which one?
keep going. I'm sorry. Bad joke.
Do you have to ask us then?
Emily Jang. I have your permission to take the CN4J question, move it down. I'll just move it to the extras one. We're not gonna.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Do we want to keep going through this? So I think this is an important one. So let's maybe start or something like that. The how many releases per year? I mean, we already have a cadence. Is that really a question that is important?
Well, here's the thing. The reason I brought that up is typically we have 3 per year, right? We're going to miss February. So I'm assuming that means we're going to try for 2 this year. Mm-hmm. But the way I look at it is I want to set us up for 3 next year to get back to our cadence.
Right.
Right. So is that a question? I don't know. But it's an item that's going to need to be in the program plan for what we do want to deliver.
Right. Yeah. So maybe it's just something we'll leave it there and we'll just kind of come back to it. How much uniformity between the specifications? I don't think the community really cares about that, but I do think the developers of the specifications care about that. Maybe we need a different set of questionnaires for the committers.
So I think generally is a good thing. Especially Roberto is trying to do the parent poem. This is kind of will be answered without saying. So I would say that leave this one out.
Well, is this really something that we should ask for? I think that's something we should pursue without. I mean, I know that everyone should be entitled with what their thoughts, but honestly, I think this is a no-brainer here. I mean, we have multiple projects and sometimes have people that like to work in something and then they move around. And it's really difficult if you moving around from project to project, if all of them follow different rules or have different tools. And I think that of course, we want to have things transparently and make people to be able to work on what they want to work. in an efficient way. So it's in our hands to provide that work environment, and consistency across all the projects is part of it. So for me, it's really a no-brainer here, and this should be accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. So just don't need to ask. So
It's not really a question. Then. Okay.
Answer is yes.
We'll grab it,
and we can decide amongst ourselves what exactly needs to be aligned and what can be freely chosen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a separate discussion, right?
Yeah,
indeed.
So it's a no-brainer as well.
Yeah. This question, though, I do think has value potentially. I won't start yet until we've discussed it. But this one is, how can we improve community involvement? And asking the community is obviously a really good way to get that feedback. So I think that is there's no doubt that needs to be in our questions.
Can we remove, number 5 was there? The MicroProfile wiki needs to be updated, but that is a requirement. Can we move it to requirement? It's a task that doesn't need a question. It's a requirement. We're working on the onboarding of members.
Well, right.
Of MicroProfile and all the processes.
Do these 3 questions really need community feedback, like from thousands of people, or do we need to just handle?
I would say I'll be honest. I would think growing pains do.
Yes, that one does, but the other 2 no.
So, I think for growing pains, we need to have a better question. People don't understand what do you mean growing pains.
Exactly. No one's going to understand the background. But that's the only reason I kind of question it, because there's so much background there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I don't know how we're going to get any good feedback from that. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also probably a secondary. It's also going to be secondary to that first one around the Jakarta alignment. I think that's going to tie into that. I think the Jakarta alignment almost has to happen first, and that'll help us define how we want to define.
I keep them separate.
Yeah,
no, they're separate.
Do we want to keep going through these? So this is a good question. Maybe we need to broaden it in some way, so people can give suggestions. How should we market or what kind of marketing activities do you want to see out of MicroProfile in 2021? Something like that.
Yeah. And the marketing target is kind of immediately make me think about how many dollars we are going to spend. So it's better marketing activities, much better.
Mm-hmm. We have already the plan that needs to be tackled by everyone that wants to check it out. In the Excel sheets, I added a bunch of things that I believe that are important, like Chandra is saying, teaching the technology and how do we thank those interested on investing the time. I believe that.
Good question. So
yeah, do you see? I believe that every cent aside from that one that is used by legal, and that includes trademarks, and the 12% for maintenance tax paid to the Eclipse Foundation every year. Every other money needs to go from contingency, a small fee, and then to the community, because a community that doesn't appreciate via actions, you name it, inviting someone when we can travel to get to a different place that would have never been possible if it wasn't for MicroProfile working group supporting that trip. All these things are important. What I'm talking about is the link exists, the document exists.
Slow down. I lost track of your topic because I was trying to write notes. I'm sorry.
Here's 2 recommendations. One, please don't refer to it as a tax. Second,
maintenance fee.
Okay.
Second, not a question to the community, right? Is this a topic we want to talk about now?
The second thing is, I think, what kind of marketing activities do you want to see? My recommendation was going to provide a link to kind of what maybe the current plan is, so people have some point of reference. I think that would really help. Amelia, if you could add like a link that points off to.
Mm-hmm. I will.
Okay. Chandra, do you mind if I expand your phrasing here maybe a bit? We could say, more specifically, what can we do to better teach MicroProfile?
Yeah, no worries at all. Yep, I'm all for changing whatever is needed.
What kind of answers do you expect from community? Do you expect some text answers, or where can be just a predefined list of answers where people choose from, and other where we can put some text comments?
Yeah, it's a bullet. So we were going to use the format of the that we used for the Jakarta EE Community Voices document, where we had questions and then there was a bullet underneath there where someone would put their name and just their answer.
Suggestion box.
And so none of them are multiple choice. They're all just free form answers.
Yeah, because if it would be multiple choice, we need to come up with a list. What would we do? That's would take the discussion far away, I guess.
And I want to say, go ahead, Dimitri.
My point is that if there are free text answers, it will be quite difficult to analyze, right? So it's better to set up, think about how we can pose the questions, the way that people clearly understand what kind of answer we expect, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So we probably need, when we did the community voices thing, before I sent it out, I answered all of the questions myself. So people could just sort of see the format more clearly. So probably we need to answer these, or at least get a couple answers in before we publish it. We can't publish it bare.
So quick suggestion is we create a few multiple choices and then leave an other box with a suggestion, sort of a format, Google form or whatever we do. And we allow for folk to submit other answers.
Well, if we have a multiple choice, then we have to agree on what the choices are. So that's
correct, which is fair. But at least it provides some ready responses, and so we don't duplicate other people's suggestions and then get like a bundle of those.
Well, anyway, so we did have duplication in the community voices one, but it was fine because then it helped us see where people were thinking, right? It was a lot of people said this, a lot of people said that, and therefore it was good.
I think.
So by the way, we do have a 3-week deadline, right? To get all this stuff back and kind of analyzed, so we can create a program plan. I just don't want to have a program plan in April, right? Finalized.
Yeah.
So
we do have a deadline, and one thing I want to say is, for multiple choices is kind of suitable for the ones that we already know the options. But now here, a lot of questions, we want to get some inspiration from the community. So we don't really want to limit the answers. So that's why the free form, the ones like are more suitable, I think.
Yeah, that's fine. But for instance, what kind of marketing activities do you want to see in MicroProfile? Okay, what kind of answer do you expect? What is marketing activity? So it would be nice to say what kind of marketing conferences or whatever else. So at least just have a list of what to think about, right?
Yeah, we will add that. You're correct. We will add that.
I think a list is. I think if some of us just supply a couple answers and there's like at least 1 or 2 answers for each of them, then I think people will sort of get more clearly along the lines of what we're thinking. At least.
I think question 14 is super important, even more important than Growing Pains and CN4J Alliance to me. 14, now that I see it, is becoming much more important than everything else because it's linked to budget and how we spend the budget, and we need to focus inward and outward. So to me, let's add a little question, like the little asterisk, to make it to be very important.
Did I spell that correctly, Chandra?
I typed it into the chat. It is KATAS.
KAT. Okay.
Perfect.
We got it. All right.
Considering this question 14, should we add there also the question if someone from the community is ready to contribute to this?
Sure.
Like to contribute to some training materials or something?
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, that really could be on all the questions. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this something that, what is the nature of this question? Is it really not necessarily the plan? Is the question more like, are you able to follow what's going on in MicroProfile? And how can we improve your ability to follow what's going on in MicroProfile? Is that the question, really?
I think
I
so.
assume.
Oh, that's not my question. My question with abbreviation EJ. I don't know who put the question 7.
When I read about this question, I think
I don't
about
see any. Okay, who put that question down? Is someone who can speak to it?
I think it was mine and John's.
Okay.
I think you're right. I think the intention was to ask how somebody can properly follow what's going on. Yes. So.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know if it needs to be a question. I just think we need to put something out there, and we can always get feedback on it to make it better. I don't think it needs to be a question. It's
Actually,
a tool for the program plan.
Actually, it makes sense. Because, for instance, today I tried to find a list of specifications, the whole list of the spec for the microprofile on the microprofile website, and I couldn't do it. Right? So there is no list of specs. There is a list of specs for microprofile 4.0, right? But there are no links to the specs, right?
Would that be answered under the teaching question?
It's not teaching, it's really organizing their access to specifications and simplifying getting the data.
So I think
I agree that it's possibly not a question, possibly it's a task, right? But I'm just confirming that I just experienced this problem.
Yeah, it's a task for us to improve our own material. So basically, our own microprofile.io site.
Yeah, that was the thing I was going to hit on. Is Emily just nailed it? Does there need to be a question of how can we improve the MicroProfile website?
Yes.
I'm not going to number it.
But this aligns. We're working on the MicroProfile website, and Summers is doing a really good job with Emily, and we want to help on that.
Yeah. But it's good to have people give us a shopping list of things. They go, well, your site doesn't have this, and it doesn't have that, and I can't find this, and I can't find that, and everything Dimitri said could go under there. You know, he could give us a great answer about, I don't know when the specs are released. I don't know what the date is. I don't have any links to them. I can't find the documents. It's, you know.
Yeah, I think this is a great question. I believe this is super important. That our website actually be very easy for people to navigate, should be user friendly, and should carry all the information or links.
Yeah.
And actually, it's very important for adoption, because if I'm a new user, I would like to read about MicroProfile, and if I can't really find information about the specs, right? What the spec is, what it does, samples, blah blah blah, from the website, from the front page of the website, the user just won't use it.
Excellent.
Go to Spring.
Completely agree.
Yep.
Yeah, we've had many discussions over the years trying to figure out who's the target audience. Is it users? Is it committers? Right? Is it organizations that are looking to just learn more? And so this is a continued conversation I think we'll have to have. But they're good comments.
Why can't we have all? I mean, we can just divide it into profiles. For developers, for users, for organizations, and just have them as separate subgroups.
I thought that was the plan, but I guess we have not executed because of lack of time. But yes, cater different pages for every single different users.
I think we're kind of coming to the end of the really important question. So I think we need a question of what should MicroProfile do technically, and I think this one is well phrased. you know, it could doesn't necessarily say new specifications. It could say, what opportunity should MicroProfile be pursuing technically?
Can we say integrations instead of opportunities? What technology integrations?
Well, sure. I mean, it's not necessarily integrations. Integrations is very specific. Technical people get really, really hung up over specific words. Oh, that's not a unit test. That's an integration test. I'm going to fight you over it. So, you know, maybe to make sure we get all feedback, like the questions are, what are your thoughts on MicroProfile's technical direction? I mean, that's, you know, like not that phrasing, because that phrasing seems like we're presenting a technical direction and what do you think about it? It's really more, what do you think we should be doing technically? You know,
yeah.
Feel free to rephrase it to get the input we want.
What features is maybe a word, because these features are made in the API for the developers to use, right?
You know, like the Adopt JDK has these phases where, you know, it takes like a year or something for any new feature to become a reality. I believe that MicroProfile will benefit for some we innovate super fast, but if we had a deadline on, we have gotten this feedback, I think we will be a little bit more organized. This question is so important because it brings not a stability, but a formatted process where we understand what happens if we add X, and if it doesn't work, we can deprecate. Human beings tend to protect what we create, and we need to respect the past, move forward, understanding what happened and what cannot happen again, but then, you know, like drop debt. And this is a part of creating new debts, because every code that we create will need maintenance, but also understanding when to deprecate and not feel that we are insulting those ones that created this. I think we need something like that, because I'm reminded of something we were doing with adaptability of a project that deals with metrics, and that still is not solved. So we need to listen to this.
Okay, folk, I have to drop off. Thank you so much for having me. It was a great conversation. I look forward to the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if we do these many questions, so John, do you still have feelings about the growing pains amidst all these other questions we're asking people? Do you think that's something that we want to throw in here, or is that maybe like a big topic we probably maybe want to handle separately? Or I mean,
well, I think it's a very fundamental question, but I'm okay with it with it splitting out from this for people that don't have the background, because I agree it'll take a lot of time for people that are new to the community to kind of come up to speed with what we spent probably a good 6 months on. So I'm okay with that. By the way, sorry, this is my moderator interruption here. We have 3 minutes left. I would like to stick to the top of the hour just because it's a steering committee meeting. And that's what was listed. So
if we did these questions, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think that's a great sweet spot. We maybe could fit another question there. 1, 2, 3.
We can always ask something at the end. What else do you want to tell us? So
yeah, that's a great one.
An open thing. An open.
Is any chance
an
of
open
making
invitation.
available the questions in a different language, like?
Emerson, we don't hear you.
Seems. Yeah, is any chance of make available the questions in a different language? Like, just if the focus is the community, just try to get more community by making available the questions in multiple language. I mean, it's not that much work, and the feedback we can get can be a lot.
Emerson, do you want to translate?
Well,
yeah, I can do that.
The real big question is who's going to translate the answers back?
I'm asking Emerson, do you want to own that?
Not the question, not the translation
Google.
of the questions, it's the translation of the answers. That's
I was thinking Google Translate, but I know it's not perfect.
It doesn't, no.
I can I can try, and I don't think it's.
Yeah, it should be
What
fine because it's feedback. It's not a legal document, right?
What language are we going to translate to?
Whoever volunteers.
Yeah, exactly. It's
We're
gonna be
gonna need
volunteer driven.
Eclipse is in Europe now. Eclipse Foundation.
I think it's kind of also need to cover somewhere like a microprofile is known. If you translate to a question like microprofile is have not been heard of or something, it's kind of with effort. So
I apologize. We're at the top of the hour here. There is one thing I'd like to ask here, and that is, what is left to do before we feel comfortable sending this out?
We need to add stuff to it, like responses to provide an example of it. And if we can have 24 hours, I said, let's use the next 24 hours and choose something for Thursday, 1 p.m. PDT time. And provide a deadline, we can do this. And then Edwin can send it. Edwin, do you believe that 24 hours for all of us working on this, and then at 1 p.m. on Thursday, you shoot this to the community, will work?
Yeah, that feels a little bit too short in my opinion, but maybe just before the weekend or something.
Can we just have this week for offline working on this document and send it next
Exactly. Yeah.
and also I think I like what David suggests. When we send out this question, it's better to put one answer at least.
At least, yeah.
Yeah.
In my recommendation,
otherwise people don't fill in like that's a certain. I think that's a good practice you put in, David, for Jakarta EE. If people say, "Oh, there's the answer," I will quickly put an answer in as well. Peer pressure.
My recommendation is when we send this document, please add the YouTube recording to that email, because some of us do like to listen to that in the background while we work. And pretty much the entire hour was used for that document. So it's important to note in that email. Edwin, I'm talking with you directly.
Okay, I have one suggestion or question. It's off topic, right? So do we have some kind of a shared calendar where all meetings are, added as events?
Yes, there's the link at the top of the MicroProfile.io website. I think it's under resources.
It's under resources and it's under working group.
And then there's a calendar under resources. There's an MP calendar link, and then if you click on that, you'll get the whole calendar with all the everything.
Yeah.
You need to subscribe to it, and this is going to be a part of the onboarding members.
Great. Okay, I was looking for that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just pasted that on the chat.
Yeah, it's under resources.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You beat me to it.
Okay, so this looks good to me. So we should just put this out on our list at least and start answering it, and at least make sure we have 1 or 2 answers for these. And then I guess our timeline is to publish this, next week. Is that what we're sounding like? Or
next week is good.
Okay. So let's try to make sure that we give some answers here ourselves, so that people can sort of see along the lines of which we're thinking. And then
do you want to add answers directly to that document underneath the question?
Yeah. So John, do you have the link of the Jakarta Community Voices thing
Yeah, it's in the live hangout. Hold on here. I'll pull it up
so people can see one last time what that's supposed to look like.
Where did we put it here?
Right there,
Sorry, I'm looking.
Right there.
Here it is.
There you go. So here's the format. We take that thing that says it's an interview style and make sure you include that. So basically people can be quoted. But anyway, that's the thing. You just put your name and your answer, and then they're bulleted, and everyone, it's first come, first, it's just a document to collect. there was a thing right there. It says this document is intentionally in interview style, and basically saying you can be quoted and you might be included in other things. And so just so people take it seriously, you know, I think that's a good thing to say. But
Okay, we are at the top of the hour. Sorry, I meant to do the steering committee. I'll find the right doc. We basically had, I had one other item, and that is when's the next meeting? I'll send this out to the working group email alias because we agreed on two things. I mean, this is minor, to be honest, that weren't necessarily aligned on when we're going to have meetings. So, we'll discuss that in the working group channel, and this one I'll put in the parking lot. It's not critical either. This is something that could probably happen in the community. So, that's it.
I need to interject. We need to approve these minutes within a week and then send it to the working groups. Everyone here, please vote on that. John, can you send it today so that we can go as soon as we review this, and then we cannot delay this. Last time we kind of failed.
Yes, good. Thank you very much for the reminder. That's an excellent point. So I'm gonna get the recording up there. And then I will send out the announcement and I'll link to the recording of the meeting minutes and I'll paste them and I'll include the PDF as well. That was a request from last meeting.
Mm-hmm. We're late for 5 minutes.
All right. Thanks everyone. I appreciate it. See you in 2 weeks. Same bat time, same bat channel, live hangout.
Hey, thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.